Hello, bootstrappers. Oh, that was good. It's the first time trying to do it yeah. Okay. So we have a really good interview today, Will.
Absolutely. It was with Latiya, who is doing a fashion startup out of LA, although she was evaluating New York in the middle of this, but I think she's decided on LA.
Yeah, so she's been bootstrapping, did an incredible job getting together the concept, doing prototyping, getting initial sales, and she hit a roadblock, which is in order to actually begin to do like those first sales, she needs a piece of equipment.
Right, because she's in fashion and she needs to basically print on demand as people order. So she needs a specialized piece of equipment to do it.
So that raises the bar from like suddenly being able to start out of her garage or out of her spare room into needing a place and a piece of equipment that's about $100K. So
Absolutely.
in this case, bootstrapping means that figuring out the question of how to raise that amount of money, whether it's a loan or a investment or a note from a friend to make that happen.
Yes, and it's funny. Bootstrapping doesn't mean you're in a wild jungle by yourself building something with no one around you. It's about getting the right resources that you need at the moment and how you need them. And a lot of our advice ended up being around tailoring this opportunity to people that it would resonate with, that would be mission aligned to what she's doing.
So the interview's coming up, and what you'll hear at the beginning is kind of a Q&A. And then you'll also have a chance to hear her pitch as she's refined it a few times. And so what you'll hear coming up is a little bit of Q&A, and then you'll get a chance to hear her pitch. She's definitely been through multiple iterations of learning what it is that resonates with the people she's pitching it to.
And so she has a dope business that we're going to learn all about.
It's true, and it's really cool, and it's really incredible. And what she's up to, like in addition to her business, is awesome. So, bootstrappers, hope you enjoy. Latiya, how did you and Will meet?
I am a member of the Founders Institute, and I'm going through the funding lab right now. And so I reached out to Will to check out my pitch deck, and he gave me some advice. So I was just like, well, Will's like my buddy now. So I'm like, look, check this out again. Could you look this up? And so I just been communicating with him. I was like, can I pitch to you? And see, he's like, you know what? So I'm here now. So I'm just really excited to be able to pitch for you guys. I'm not quite sure your relationship, or your husband, wife, brother, sister.
Oh, wait. I completely skipped all of that. I'm a sister.
Oh, okay.
I'm a sister, and I was employee number 5 at one and only that became Match.com.
Mm-hmm.
And then when that sold, I left Match.com with our other brother, Nelson, and we started an internet security company.
Oh, okay.
We built that for 15 years and sold it in the end of 2014.
Okay,
so,
yeah.
I've got some company building reps behind me, but right now what I'm really doing is helping people build businesses.
Well, that sounds good because I need help building my business. And
we all need help building business.
I think I'm a great entrepreneur, and I just been doing so much by myself. And I feel like if I can do this, all by myself, as much traction as I got, then having a team that can support me in areas where I'm not great in, I think that this business can be a really successful company.
So give us a little bit of your journey. What brought you to starting your own company, and how long have you been at it, and how many twists and turns have there been so far?
Sure. I'll pitch to you later, but I'll pitch myself to you.
Sure.
Yeah.
Starts with the person.
I've been doing this now fashion for over 20 years. I took a break to be a mom, raise kids and stuff like that, and finish my degree. And I got into covered fashion after studying Islam after I got married. And I was just like you can't catch me dead in those clothes. I just thought it was really cool, the whole concept of being covered. And I just started studying modest fashion around the world and throughout history. Being covered and more modest needs an upgrade. My grandma was modest. She never left the house without gloves and her hat on. And just thought that it was a really cool aesthetic to have all of these options for coverage for self-expression. and not necessarily being a religious thing, although it's a lot of people who are religious looking for more options in general. So it wasn't just about Muslims or Christians. I have people who love my brand that's not even religious at all. They just think it's dope. This whole concept behind dope covered apparel started, just like this dope brand. So then I started the whole concept behind dope covered apparel. Last year, 5 years ago, I presented it was like a hair and fashion competition. I won first place. And since then, I've presented over 30 times. We've been in New York Fashion Week, LA Fashion Week, London Fashion Week twice. We just did London Fashion Week in September. We did a digital fashion show. We also were presented as a case study in Saudi Arabia's University for Fashion out there, which was a huge honor because they're one of the most modest and they're one of the most strict countries in the world, right, when it comes to clothing and fashion. So to be an influencer over there was just absolutely incredible. So since then, I've been working to build the brand. We made about $17,000. I know that's not a lot, but for me, it's a lot because I was just doing it by myself.
It's funny, anytime you're starting a business, you should never apologize for the fact that you start at zero. Like we all start at zero. You have no revenue, you've sold nothing. The fact that you've sold anything at all is pretty cool.
Yeah, it is pretty cool. Like I made like almost $7,000 during the pandemic. People started to have to cover their face. Everybody was coming to me. They were like, Latiya, what are you making? Can you make stuff for me? So I had a production line going on and I was doing a lot of them myself. I was not even sleeping so I can fulfill orders. And so we got into antimicrobial fabric that we sublimate on. So we're able to print anything onto this fabric that's antimicrobial. I got into Founders Institute because I started to make sales. I had one authorized dealer, so somebody who was purchasing our items from us. And then the pandemic hit. Once I started doing, I also started to see this niche that was coming, not just for cover fashion, but also for digital fashion. For having this customizable thing. I network Catherine Schuler. She's on my advisory team and she's in sustainability and diversity at FIT. And so I started learning more about sustainability and how much the fashion industry impacts the world, like being the second largest polluter, as well as being an exploiter of prison labor, which impacts personally my community. And so I wanted to create a brand that was sustainable, ethically made. And so I volunteer at the Anti-Recidivism Coalition to help reduce the amount of prisoners that go back into the system with their mental health issues and getting acclimated into society. So I said, wow, like, let me put all these pieces together. Like, let me create a brand where we use sublimation and these 3D avatars that we could create because they have technology out now that you can use and give people the way to customize their fashion because like I'm watching my kids because I have Gen Z kids, right? They spend hours customizing their clothes. And I was like, I can, like, after you finish customizing that, I can literally print that out. I can use an aesthetic that's not sexy or like the Virgin Mary. So you're either Britney Spears or Virgin Mary, but it's nothing in between.
It's funny.
Cool.
Eva and I have been working on a logo and we'd like to incorporate women into it, but a lot of the iconography is just like sex.
Yeah.
That's what our brand isn't really, we're not that.
Exactly. And then this was the thing going through Founders. I did surveys. So I surveyed over 100 people and it was really insightful. The issue it wasn't that women didn't want to be modest. It's just that women didn't have enough options to be modest.
Modesty doesn't mean bland.
Yeah, right, exactly. So that's why I say you're either Britney Spears or the Virgin Mary, and people will rather be Britney Spears but they want to be like the Virgin Mary. You know what I mean? So
you want to be like modest with a little bit of bling, right?
Exactly. So I started creating all of these different pieces that you can customize. You can extend your wardrobe. So we came out with all these cool little, what we call the elements. So like this is an element and you can put it on your face like this. And we have these that you could cover your face with. The annexes for your hands. And we have cool little jumpsuits.
Yeah, that's cool.
And so like you could customize this. And so the way that we want to build American Umma is that this is sublimated. You could change this. So say you want to do red and white or purple and white, stuff like that. So play around with that and have it literally print out in your size. So we're reducing returns, the amount of pollution that goes into the environment. Our brand was presented this year at the UN Oceans Day event, and we were nominated for an Impact Award for our business model. I get a lot of people say, well, how are you going to do all this? I'm like, really, we're talking about like piece of equipment, some software, and our own labor. We need our own labor. So instead of outsourcing and creating like all of this inventory, right, we just use our on-demand model and hire people who have this experience who can't get jobs. That's exploitation. They spent all of these years creating clothes for the fashion industry, and then they come out and we only create 3% of our clothing. And so where they're going to get jobs, it's a whole population of really great people who deserve a chance after being exploited to have a job.
I was just going to circle back on that because you said that you had worked with, you volunteered with the anti-recidivism.
Recidivism. I know it's
recidivism.
Like, say recidivism.
Yeah, so the anti-recidivism, and that's with the California penal system, right? Where you're in.
It's a nonprofit called the Anti-Recidivism Coalition, ARC.
And you work with people?
I work with people who were formerly incarcerated to reacclimate them into society.
Right. And to reduce the chances of them going back into the system.
Exactly. Okay. And so what they do while partnering with them, they create the wraparound services so we can get them jobs. Then they take care of the mental health and also finding them a place. But for them to immediately get out and find employment in the area that they spent 5 or 6 years working in, because honestly, it's really exploitation to the highest degree. It's just a lie. They go in and they pitch this business concept to the prison system saying, hey, we're going to give these people these manufacturing skills so they'll have the skill when they come out.
The skills.
Right? Then they come out and we only provide 3% of fashion, and especially they're not hiring people who look like that. Okay, mm-hmm. They're hiring people who aren't these type of people, family members and people who have backgrounds in manufacturing. So they're not hiring them.
No, it's
so it's exploitation.
I agree with that. Complete exploitation in that, the pitch to the institution is there'll be skills delivered. But The reality is there may be skills, but not necessarily employment opportunities in the
Exactly. And so by us having this on-demand model, we need local labor, which equals a reduction in recidivism.
How expensive is that equipment? Any business you start, right, it's either sweat equity or capital. Mm-hmm. And we come from a farming family, which means you better have capital because there's no sweat equity. Well, there's sweat equity, but it's after you bought the tractor. Mm-hmm. So what does it take to get this business off the ground with that piece of equipment?
We're looking at probably about a startup cost of like a restaurant almost, of about $100,000 just for our first sets of equipment, and then moving into a different set of equipment in the future. That equipment is quite expensive, but we did get information on the lease with the ROI on that. But we want to build to that equipment.
Sure, yeah, you need to move first.
Right now, so we're seeking $100,000 investment that will get our own location, our own equipment, and get us started on our first phase of our avatars and our on-demand system and model. But in the meantime, while we're building that, we do have several stores who have asked for our clothing to be in the store. So we can immediately start working on that. We do have demand that I personally can't meet myself. And I haven't gone all the way into sales because I'm still trying to make sure that So I don't want to take orders and then I can't fulfill them myself. And then another thing is I need the proper equipment to do it right. And then I'm not a seamstress, I'm a designer. I can sew, but my quality is not really there. I can make a sample, okay? But to send it out to you, I need a higher quality. And I have people ready to work. That's not a problem. I have a lot of people that's ready to work.
Now, one thing I know, there's a good part of needing equipment in that the equipment has value. So that makes it, you're able to get a loan against it versus having to raise all the money. And so I'm on the board of a really teeny weeny bank in Southeast Arkansas. And one of the things I know is that a lot of the loans we make are guaranteed by the government. Mm-hmm. The bank will take the risk because there's really not a risk by the time the government covers what's different. Have you looked at the SBA loans around this?
I have, and I'm personally like, I'll be honest with you, my credit is shot. The school that I went to went out of business, and we just got a class action suit against that school. And I just finished raising a college student who's now married with 2 kids. Literally, she just graduated this year. So this is me starting my whole life again.
Okay.
I have a special needs son. So that's my big issue. My business credit is cool, but that's been my major, like,
well, the SBA, depending on, they have a lot of different programs, mm-hmm. and depending on which bucket it's in, they'll guarantee the loan, even if you would never qualify. I mean, the reason they do it is it's for people that don't qualify for traditional credit. Like a normal bank is not going to loan money to you. But if the government says, hey, we'll cover it, they'll make the loan. So I know in Arkansas, in Little Rock, they have a whole department that you can go down to, and they'll walk you through what program it is and where you might qualify. Have you tried that process yet?
Yeah, I tried the process with the SBA, and I it wasn't good. Like, I was qualified, my business was qualified, but my personal credit didn't qualify. So that was a problem. It was really disappointing. And then I thought that I went through the founders so I can find investors, so I can have somebody else inside of the business to kind of coach me through some of this stuff. I'm a creator, but one thing I'm really good at is I'm good at finding the right people to help me get to my goal. My son, he has special needs. They told me he wouldn't walk or talk, but I put together a team, and my son walks and he talks. So I know how to find the right professionals to help me in areas where I'm weak in, and that's one area that I do have a weakness in. For me, it was a better choice, even if, and I was willing to give up equity because I created the C Corp now. And I have 10 million shares, and I don't mind sharing shares because I want to get the vision out. I'm willing to share my company with whoever's willing to help me build it. So I can go out and build it, but I do need some people to be like, you know what, this is a better idea. Let's move in this area when it comes to certain things, like just having that more of a business knowledge that can help and be my coaches and my teammates.
One thing I've learned, so I was terrible at raising money when I first started. Well, I didn't know anybody. I didn't know even that venture capital existed. We were in Dallas. No one was going to invest in an internet startup business in Dallas in 1995. That would just been insane. But it's all about finding someone who wants to fund the kind of thing you're doing, and then just convincing them that you're the person they want to fund. The mistake I see most people raising money make is they approach people that just aren't that they're not even in the right sector for them to be interested. And then they spend a lot of time trying to convince them to do it. I mean, you tried to raise money even after doing the dating site successfully, she went around asking, and it's an interesting experience. Sherry.
Well, we had kind of a similar problem where all the funding was really happening in Silicon Valley, and we were in Dallas. We did end up getting some interviews, and we were super excited about them. But it was like we launched Critical Watch right at 2000, probably 2 weeks after the .com bubble burst. So we went from being really exuberant to like really uncertain about what it was going to look like. We built a prototype. We got some first customers. We started looking at the investment avenue late summer. And when we started getting we felt like we were getting traction around interviews and getting in front of people. And what we realized in hindsight is that a lot of them were really, because of the time, they weren't really going to invest in anything because the market was in such a state of uncertainty. And so they were in a learning cycle. And so they knew that internet security was something that really interested them, but they weren't, ready, and they were really going to look for something more local in Silicon Valley. Yeah, I don't know. Like it was just hard. We ended up saying that it was taking too much of our energy. No, we had a different situation, right? In that we didn't even have a piece of equipment. And I think that changes the equation a lot. We were able to do, it was all software based. And so we were able to shift around and really focus on sales and developing the software to fulfill it.
Now, the amount of money you're trying to raise is very doable from angels. Like I have no doubt that you can raise $100,000 if you talk to the right people.
I agree with that.
It's going to be people that invest in one of two reasons, and it won't be for your business plan. They're going to invest because they think you're an awesome person and they want to help you along your journey, and maybe someone helped them along their journey. I mean, I had a lot of that. Like the guy that invested in me, one entrepreneur every year and put the same amount of money in it. And it was almost like his way of giving back to his younger self. And so, there's that. And then there's the mission, which is to help all these people rebuild their lives after prison, and people align with that mission. So I think you have two things going for you in that personal story is one of a journey that's really inspiring. And then you're also helping all these other people start a new chapter in their life. And honestly, I mean, because your deck, and I don't know if Eva, did you take a look at the deck?
I did, but I really want to also hear the repitch.
I think if you reorient your pitch around you and why you're doing this, that you will be able to attract the amount of money that you're looking for much faster versus and I understand the Founder Institute is helping people prepare for going down the venture capital route, and you're not quite there yet in terms of the kind of business you have yet. Doesn't mean you won't be in a year or two if your sales really take off. But if you reorient it to be more about those things, you can probably find someone much faster than that's just my opinion.
I've been getting that a few times because people don't understand. If they don't understand my business or they're not really interested in that, ears usually perk up around the recidivism project.
Absolutely.
People wanting to, and I think it might be people willing to just help and not even caring about it and get money back.
I think there's a big chance for that because you're doing something important that people are passionate about. And this year has really brought the consciousness up. Something needs to be done. I mean, we got to change.
It's really bad, and it's really bad because 22 prisons in California have this manufacturing program. And Catherine on our advisory team, she was involved in this system, right? She kind of left because felt like she was a kind of rat because she was hearing that this relationship between the fashion industry and the prison system and how they were extending prison sentencing to meet quotas for the fashion industry. It really impacts people who look like me, honestly, in my community and families, and then all in the end, like it was just a blatant lie because we only produce 3% of our goods here when it comes to actual textile manufacturing. And when you go look at the people who have jobs doing what they were trained to do, they don't look like me. They look like people who have the jobs overseas.
I mean, so I would suggest running with that, like reworking your pitch to where you've got some sales that show that you could sell things if you made it.
Yeah.
And B, how many people will this help if you get this money raised and you get into production? And it's a completely different pitch. And then you're raising $100,000, and what you're really looking at is you need $10,000 checks, 4 $25,000 checks, or 2. Like you really break it down into chunks of, and I'm going to take this money and I'm going to buy the piece of equipment and we're going to set it up here. And, we're going to start immediately employing people to meet this demand that I found. And oh, by the way, I'm great at designing, so I'm going to keep designing things, and hopefully we'll need more and more people to make it.
For sure. Like that's definitely something I'll consider, and I'm going to probably most likely put that in action because I feel like I could get more emotion attached to this part. And I keep getting people in, and it's frustrating because I get people in the industry who just say, well, why don't you do it like the traditional way? Why don't you do it like that? Well, look at the fashion industry now. It's in shambles because of the supply chain and the way they've been doing business and how much pollution they cause all over the world, and the exploitation that they've done is falling apart. And so this is a new way to do business and also help people and do the right thing.
You're pitching someone that's looking for a financial reason to invest. And it may be hard to attract that person right now versus someone who's doing it for mission driven. I'll give you an example. I was in Boston, and there was this company, and they were pitching the thing. You get a shot if a bee stings you and you're allergic to it, epinephrine, or I forget what the name of it is. And they go up there, and the couple that started it have the story of their son almost died because the chemical breaks down in the heat. And so when they pulled that pin out, it had been out in the heat, and it just didn't work. And their son damn near died. And so they went through this journey to come up with a better way to do it. There were people crying in the audience and damn near wrote a check before they finished with it because they had relatives that had that same problem, or they had almost had a kid die, so people were investing the good that the company would bring to the world, not necessarily to make a tremendous return on it.
Yeah, and if it's completely profit oriented, then it's going to be all the way back to you're going to hear the mindset again and again and again. Why don't you do it the traditional way? Because the traditional way was designed to ignore the humanity and the community and instead chase maximum profit. And the maximum profit isn't where your heart is. Your heart is back into the community and making sure that people have a place to land and that the goods that are being produced are beneficial to the world, not taking away from it.
Exactly. It's all built around good morals and values, and having this on-demand model, and even using the fabrics are sustainable. They're produced locally here in America. It's about American jobs, American companies, bringing manufacturing jobs back to America. And that's why it's American Umma. They're like, hey, why don't you produce in Bangladesh? I say, you can't produce American Umma in Bangladesh, okay? You have to produce it in America, okay? Bringing it back home, and even some of our items are one-of-a-kind pieces. So they have to be produced from Altier, somebody who has some really good skills and, actually teaching some of those skills as well to some women, embroidery techniques and things like that to actually create higher end, one-of-a-kind pieces that people pay a lot more money for. So yeah, we need that on-demand model. We need to produce locally. We can't produce that overseas.
I read your deck, that mission didn't come across at all. And so I think that might be something that's missing.
Okay, cool.
Latiya, there's a nonprofit that I donate to called the Defy Venture. Have you heard of them?
No, I haven't.
They basically help develop entrepreneurship within the prison so that as people are released, they're able to become business people. Like the problem they see is that when people come out, they're viewed as unhireable. And so one of the ways you can't basically give the finger to you can't hire me is starting your own business. And so their mission might align with your mission. It is a thought. And so I can send you like a link to them. I think they're out of Kansas, but I think they've also got a footprint in Southern California.
And some of their donors might be good investors.
That's right. And some of the people that the entrepreneurs they're working with may also be really good fit and may also have an avenue for funding.
Yeah, that would be really good to connect with them. And I'm not sure if whether or not, because I also have a nonprofit called Designing for a Difference that I ran a couple of years ago, and it was centered around fashion design for the community. And I have my own location, and I taught kids and young adults as well. And we went into the school, offered free fashion design classes, and also into senior citizen homes, and we did free classes and stuff like that. So I'm not sure if somebody told me don't do it like that because it can be considered
money laundering.
Yeah, money laundering. So washing your money.
Yeah, I think Yeah, that makes
I didn't think
sense.
that was good, but yeah, if we can get that'll be great if you can get
They're designed to help like create entrepreneurship from that population.
that.
Well, what you're
I
looking for are people that are aligned with your core mission because they're going to fund you.
Okay.
because they're going to care.
Yeah, I need people to care about that part. It's not, the money is there, the market is there. The market is there. That's not a problem. We're doing something unique to the market, and people are always asking where they can get our stuff. I'm not worried about the money coming. It's just about the money, the labor, and being able to produce the work to get it to our customers, having quality work, and just having the capital to get that up and running. We have some supplies, but that's going to run out pretty fast. Just in doing mass, I learned that runs out.
There's another option. If you can create pre-sales, so if you approached organizations where they could say, if you get this up and running, or when you get this up and running, this is the size of the order that we want to give you. And if you can collect those so you're not on the hook for delivering anything unless this event happens. So once you get the equipment and you're able to, it's almost like a Kickstarter, but it's a one-person Kickstarter.
Yeah.
Enough of those orders. So if you found $10,000 orders, then finding in a loan, whether it's an angel investor loan or it becomes easier for people to say, I will. If you can't find the investment, you may be able to find a loan.
Yeah, I do have 3 stores right now, but they want to work on consignment. That's the only thing with those stores.
So yeah, that's the opposite.
Yeah,
so it's like, I got
that's you take the cost and you do the inventory, and so it's just like here's the idea, and here's given, I don't know, maybe it's a school, maybe it's a whatever, but they have the vision to say we know we could order this many.
Well, and this is just a tough year with retail, right? I mean, everyone's kind of in disarray because of the pandemic. Well, so do you want to screen share and walk through your current pitch? I mean, how can we be helpful for the next 20, 30 minutes here?
I can go through my pitch deck, kind of describe the business model and the business itself of American Umma. And we tie the pitch deck. I've altered it to add in the impact too.
Right. And then, Latiya, as we're viewing the pitch deck, what's the best way we could contribute back to you?
I think just, giving me information. I think you guys gave me a lot of information in regards to angle that I can spin the business. Even if I didn't pitch, I think that you guys probably have a better idea of who I am as an entrepreneur. And it's really important to me because it just gives me confidence that, people see who I am beyond my business and the work that I put in and I'm willing to do to make this a success. So let me present American Umma. So I'm Latiya Gholar, and I've been a fashion designer for the past 20 years. And over the last 10 years, I've been creating covered apparel after the lack of modest options that were stylish in the industry. So today I'm going to ask you to step outside the box that humanity created for you and join AU Nation, the creators of dope covered apparel. So today's fashion market is overly sexy or too conservative. Either you're Britney Spears or the Virgin Mary. Is lacking innovation. We don't have enough options for modest fashion. And not to mention, it's not sustainable and the labor is unethical and notorious for exploitation. So what I present to you is a modern, modest fashion brand that's eco-friendly in the marketplace. It allows customization, personalization, and the tech-driven, on-demand manufacturing model using sustainable fabrics in a circular economy with a brand that's built on good values and morals. So our product, The Elements, allows our customers customized coverage. We drop themes every 6 weeks that allows our customers to mix and match, creating a collectible brand that's addictive, and our customers can't wait to have them all. Not to mention, we're unisex and gender fluid. Using a 3D avatars, our customers can input their measurements and customize and personalize their garments. in our VR showroom where they can view our new collections, try on and customize our new themes that drop every 6 weeks and limited edition themes. Using the process of sublimation, customers have a true bespoke custom sizing experience. Our fabric is made of 100% recycled bottles and sustainable materials, and our on-demand model reduces pollution and carbon footprint. Just imagine after spending 8 hours of customizing your avatar, you become that avatar. So we have a SaaS model that allows all of our customers to become registered and have access to several different products, including our themes, the community, also to customize at additional charge and access to our AR and our VR technology. For $7.99 a month, they can have access to the 3D avatar as well as their own virtual closet, the ability to customize and personalize, as well as limited edition things. They also can buy, sell, and trade old garments and elements in our online marketplace. When they become exclusive for $19.99 a month, they have all the access to registered and official. They also get access to the one-of-a-kind vault, the OOAK vault, and they also get an exclusive color, which means that nobody can have it printed in that color. They also have access to our member-only virtual event, fashion shows, and networking. Not only do we sell physical merchandise, we sell digital clothes as well. So this is a huge market. We're talking about $500 billion market. Currently, there's 3 billion people in the world that has a mandate to dress modestly. By the year 2030, that's going to be 25% of the global population. Covered fashion is trending. It's not just for religious people anymore. It has a mainstream appeal. Our customers are Gen Z or millennials. They're multicultural or semi-conservative. And they're also raised on hip hop, tech savvy, and video games. So our traction, so we've gone from first place to front page. We've had about $17,000 in our R&D phase, with the average sale being about $183. We've raised $15,000 in fundraising that has went to our tours and also our marketing. We've been in 27 showcases, presented in 10 cities. So we have a proof of concept. AU is in demand. During the pandemic, before the pandemic hit, we were scheduled to hit 13 countries. Last year, American Umma, we graduated from the Founders Institute, number 3 in our cohort and number 1 in our group. So our competition are companies like Modernista and East Eston, but they have inflexible designs and their modest clothing is directly directed towards Muslims or religious people. But AU has an interchangeable design. Our designs are interchangeable. We have a mainstream appeal. And not to mention, we have a branded marketplace and wearable technology with NFC technology. So our competition makes modest clothes, but AU, we create dope covered apparel. So our social impact is the anti-recidivism project. Currently, 22 prisons in California are offering skilled textile manufacturing trade work. But the problem is in USA only produces 3% of clothing. That leads to a lack of employment opportunity and exploitation of prisoners, leading to recidivism. With American Umma's on-demand manufacturing model, that equals local jobs, which equals reduced recidivism. So our team includes myself. I have 20 years of fashion experience with 10 years in a modest industry. Catherine Schuller, who is my advisor. She's an instructor at FIT in diversity and sustainability and also the curator and consultant for High Tech Moda New York Fashion Week. Savita K, who's the producer of London Fashion Week, House of Icons, and also sits on the World Fashion Council. And Aisha Ladan, she's our CTO and Second Life creator. So our investment opportunity, we're seeking overall $250,000. The ROI in 18 months, we're predicting a $2.5 million in revenue during that time. We want to do an IPO and exit in 5 to 7 years. Most of our money is going towards our equipment, our location, the product development of our app and 3D avatar, as well as our legal and our marketing. So today, I want to ask you, when are we going to stop wearing jeans and t-shirt and move into something really cool and dope? When are we going to stop asking for companies to become ethically responsible and actually making it happen? Today, I ask you to step outside the box that humanity created for you and join AU Nation, American Umma. We create dope covered apparel.
So first of all, you do a very good job of pitching it. You know this. I mean, I'm impressed big time. But it feels like to me, and I've helped a lot of people pitch their startups out in Silicon Valley. I'm not, quote, the world's expert, but I've done it a lot. I've probably seen 2,000 pitches. I probably helped 100 entrepreneurs raise money. Mm-hmm. It's truly about storytelling and then finding the human beings that story resonates with. And so my initial feedback is it feels like you're trying to tell 2 or 3 different stories here. You're trying to tell how this is really a tech play and not just a physical play. Then you're telling about how it's these really cool clothes, and then you're telling about the recidivism. And it lacks an overall story arc because it's like you're trying to get too many people interested. And maybe you have separate decks for those separate people. But, I'll never forget, I was up in Nashville and I was trying to raise money for my first VC fund. Mm-hmm. We're pitching this guy, and he's worth $2 or $3 billion. And 3 minutes into the pitch, he looks up and he goes, "What in the hell made you think I'd be interested in this?" And the funny thing about that is, and it didn't bother me. I was like, that's a really good idea. And it turned out he was in the middle of buying his brothers and sisters out of the family business. His money was going into that. He was not doing anything but that right now. And so it's made me really sensitive to pitching people what they want to buy or not pitching them at all. And so I would suggest that you probably have 3 different decks. I would only work on the one that's your mission. Like, I think you have a great story around, hey, dressing modestly isn't some weirdo thing. I mean, like you really address that. Like, there's a ton of people that want to dress modestly. This isn't just a religious thing. It's something I want, and we don't have good like that story starts going, and it feels really good. And then I think the rest of the story for a bunch of the investors would be, we're going to do it in America. We're going to do it with people that were trained to do it but don't have a job opportunity. And this is a really good thing. While we make money, we're going to do good. And just kind of making that whole story arc there. I mean, Eva, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, well, you've definitely got a lot more experience hearing them. I did notice as I was in, I got really excited about the fashion story, and like, oh, this is really hip, cool. I mean, I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool, and which is hard for me to get excited about fashion, and I'm pretty much leaning in, going, that's really cool, because you tell a really good story about dressing the avatar, actually, like the whole ability to design it and then wear it, and it's yours. It's strong. When the deck got towards the end, I felt a little bit of like the car took a left and I flew out the door. Like it just the direction changed, and I felt a little lost for a minute. And so I think that, Will, what you pointed out makes a lot of sense. Like I was following a story, and then I kind of tracked to a different, and then I'm over here. Well, actually, what I'm really curious about is do you really want to exit, or do you want to do this your whole life?
Oh, I definitely want to exit. There's so many other things I want to do. Get into philanthropy. I have a goal. I want to start designing clothes for space exploration, because that's where we're going, and I want to get into making clothing for that. Yeah, I definitely want to exit.
So then I think that to tie the story together, and Will, I agree with you on having different decks that are really focused thematically on the different issues or the different pieces, right? I think that the story there is in 5 to 7 years that American Umma is the powerhouse for this kind of clothing. Like it is a place where not only individuals go and design, but also the place where different designers use you
Exactly.
to convert out. And so that story of the growth, I think, would be powerful.
Well, it's good that you say that, Eva, because you caught right on to what we want to do. You know, we want to be the premier company for cover fashion and also creating a brand that merges technology in this type of way. I think that we have that, I call it the nerd factor, right? Like, you know, we tie these two worlds together. It's just a well thought out brand, but it is a lot. I feel like I do lose people when I feel like I'm jumping around into like different areas of everything that it is. It is wise to probably have a pitch deck just for the fashion, just for the tech, just for the recidivism project. And that way I can center in, like you said, on people who, what their area is, so I don't lose people in the pitch.
And that whole, you know, and we're going to do all of this, and oh, by the way, while doing really good things for the planet and for people.
Yeah. Because some people don't care about that. They're like, oh, yeah.
No, I agree. But I honestly think they're not going to invest in you yet. I think you're going to more align with the people that are doing it for, you know, the good. And then as you get more traction, you'll attract people that do it for the greed.
Oh, my God, that's so true. Once you start making money, the people who like to invest in order to make a lot of money will smell it.
Exactly. And that's what I was thinking too. I was thinking like, because I was willing just to like, you know, that's why I was figuring out if I'm going to stay here in or LA or New York, because I'm like, look, we could just do it out of an apartment. You know, some of the guys they're really great people. Like these people who come out of prison, they're way better employees than the people now, way better, because they're ready and they're hungry and they want to prove to people, and they've taken out time to discover themselves and they know who they are. So they have a lot of time on their hands. They're like, well, we'll just come help you. What do you need? You want us to? So like, we probably just need a space so we can just knock stuff out. Like I got supplies and to show people like, yeah, like this is a market, we can make money, and just to reinvest into ourselves. But I'm really like appreciating everything that you guys are saying. Will, like you telling me, like you're not the first person who told me that. This is actually really confirmation, because I believe in threes. Or like you're the third person who told me this. So now I'm just like, this is just further confirmation of what area I need to focus in to get my like seed round going. And then we can attract the people. Once we made about $1 million, now we can, oh yeah, now you want to invest. And like,
you'll be able to have much better terms. Meaning that you'll be able to still, you'll be able to maintain control of your vision. If you get a really big investment now from a really profit-oriented firm, then your ability to maintain your creative control diminishes radically.
Yeah, I agree. And I was told that by Golden Seeds Funds. They said, well, if you do it now, then you'll lose so much equity in your company and you'll have other people almost running your business. And that's not what I want.
To me, that's the biggest thing. Like, I think when a lot of times when people think about giving up equity, they really just think about, well, it's about giving up like a percentage of the money. But even bigger than that, it is about a change of the control dynamic and who has the ability to say where the company goes.
So any more questions for us while you got us both?
Yeah, if you know any people who might potentially be interested in investing in a company like mine, once I get that pitch deck together, if you can refer them to me, that would be great. Make that connection. I'll get working on that. And I will be contacting you again, Will. Maybe I'll send it to Eva too.
Yes, please.
And then hopefully, you know, we can get this right. And, you know, Eva, if you can send me that information as well, so I can look from it.
Latiya, I love what you're up to.
Thank you. Appreciate that. And that means a lot to me, because sometimes I just feel, I get discouraged sometimes, but I know that this is going to happen. I have no doubt in my mind that this is going to happen, because it's the only thing that I can do that's been successful. Like literally, if I try to do something else, like God is like, nope, you can't do that.
Come back.
I'm going to be successful. Come back. And then I'll do one thing and it'll move so fast. Like, you know, literally, I feel like with this brand, I had a power in my hand. And as long as I'm persistent, consistent, that persistence will break. And I believe that firmly. I know for a fact that it's going to happen because I'm not giving up. You know, even when I don't have it, I have it. Like, I still do it. Like, I've done all these accomplishments I've had. I did it by myself.
Well, bootstrappers, I mean, we want this channel to be about telling each other our stories because people can figure out ways to help each other by hearing the story and hearing the struggle, not just the, I made it, everything's great, but like the nitty gritty of how this actually works. So thanks for joining us. Leave your comments. If you've got a story you'd like to tell others, we'd love to help share that.
Sure, most definitely. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for all the feedback.